Hey everyone, I hope you've had a great day so far and that you're doing well. For this video we'll be going through a bit of a new Transformers series with model kits from Yolopark, and this particular series will kick off the Wave 2 of the AMK Mini Series for Transformers. Now it's not the first time that these little AMK Mini Series kits from Yolopark have been on the channel. They have been here once before, so Series 1. Or Wave 1, but this time moving into Wave 2, and there was a Wave 3 released. I am a little bit behind, but I've obviously been preoccupied with a lot of Transformers from the blockies side of things. So for a few weeks anyway, we'll be going back through some of these AMK Mini Series model kits, which shouldn't be too difficult, and then after that, who knows, that's at least 6 weeks away. Anyway, Wave 2. So Wave 2, unlike Wave 1, has actually come in a consolidated box. So I apologize in advance because it is very holographic. So it is going to do absolutely terrible with my rig lights. Anyway, front of the box. So as you can see, it's very holographic there. But it's just got that general wording, AMK Wave 2 Mini Series model kits for Transformers. And you might be able to see some of the actual 2D silhouettes there of some of the characters. Mind you, they're not characters in the series, some of them are characters from a previous one. Bumblebee and Prime being a good example. So that's the very front of the box. On top of the box, so there's pretty much a nice image there of the 6 figures to collect. Jazz, Rodimus, RC, Hound, Prowl and Cliffjumper. So there's the 6 of them there. There will also be 2 limited edition ones with their own particular ratios. I'm sure looks like it's what, 4 and 120 and 2 and 120. I don't expect either, so I'm not going to worry about it. Am I going to lose sleep over them? No. I'm not too sure which ones they are though. I wouldn't be surprised if one is like a shattered glass Rodimus and the other one's like blue streak or whoever else shared the Nissan chassis smokescreen, maybe? Anyway, suffice to say, this is pretty much what is included in Wave number 2. On the back of the box, it's just a repeat of what has been pretty much shown on the very top. The bottom side, so yeah, it's definitely a nice consolidated packaging, which is good. I have no idea what it's going to look like when I open it. So it is a steel sealed box. There are 2 stickers here, which I have not actually done anything to. So what I will do now is just to prove that it actually is a sealed box. So if I open up the box, so this is pretty much going to make things super convenient. There will be 6 of these boxes, which we're kind of used to seeing out of the whole blockies blind box collection. Granted, the blockies ones are a bit smaller than this. I will admit it is nice that Wave 2 shrank from the box size of Wave 1. Granted, they've probably gone into like plastic bag packaging as opposed to that really nice little tray look from Wave 1. I quite liked it, granted that it would have been a packaging and logistical nightmare. Anyway, what I will now do is I will pick out one of these boxes and then we'll take it from there. Okay, now with one of these individual boxes out of the main box, so for the next 6 weeks, this is pretty much what we're going to be looking at. So the front of one of these little individual boxes is so we get to see the 6 characters. On one of the sides, it's just a bit of a one-to-one of some of the sizing, so it looks like they'll be up to 12 centimeters. The actual instructions on how to put them together. Now, I've always been a bit dubious about how Yolopark do their model kits compared to Blockies, Bandai, anyone else really. They are still model kits in the way that you do put them together, like so. But even against Blockies still builds everything like a literal model kit, then you put everything together. Unlike with these, like the whole torso has already been put together and things like that, so you're just really snapping things at ball joints and peg points. So as I said, dubious. Back of the box, so the included Wave 2 collection and obviously the reference to the 2 limited ones. Top of the box is just a Transformers Yolopark, and yeah, that's basically it. So your typical blind box, type of design, tells you tells you potentially what you're going to get, some of your possible options, which 9 out of 10 times you'll miss, obviously basic instructions and things like that. So packaging wise, pretty stock standard. So with that being done, I will crack open this box and then we'll see what's actually included inside the box. Okay, with some of the stuff taken out, and the reason why I say some, I think I've done it again like I did with the, was it the first or second blind boxes I did for the Transformers wheels. So there's the bag with all the parts in it. They're all loose, so that's, you know, pretty stock standard, nothing unusual there. So it will just be a case of tearing it open. In here there is a generic instruction booklet from what I could see. I think there's a little piece of promotional material, and there is like a little character card. So unfortunately, I think I do know who it is already off the through the unfortunate sighting of that. So usually the first one is always like that. So it's both good and bad in the sense that it's not as blind as I thought it would be. But yes, I'm pretty sure I do know who it is. So if I just put that to the side for the time being, we will open this, and I'm going to feign ignorance for the sake of the video and be like, I actually don't know who it is. Nice that they include these, please do not eat them. But yes, based on what is now in front of my very eyes, and pretty much it does reconfirm what I saw, it is Cliffjumper. So, with that being said, so just going back into the box. Okay, so as I said, inside the box there is a little character card for Cliffjumper, which, you know, does look very cool. And I'm glad it's just a little character card and not like miniaturized instructions, because I would be spitting chips. Just a little promotional thing with QR codes for Yolopark. Am I going to use it? Not really. And as I said, there is that generic instruction manual for everyone. So there'll be Rodimus, Hound, and Jazz. And then on the back, RC, Prowl, and Cliffjumper. Cliffjumper actually looks better in the art than he does here, but then he's just a random collection of parts right there. Based on the sizing, Cliffjumper should be the shortest, coming in at 10 centimeters. So, what I will basically do is, I will organize these pieces and put them together, do a bit of a time lapse. Okay, with the time lapse now finished, so what do we have? So we have a completed Cliffjumper here in all his glory, which is cool. So we'll have a quick look at him. He does include a set of extra hands and a weapon, but as I said, we'll come back to that. So as we saw already, we get this nice little character card of Cliffjumper there. So that's very nice. That'll be the last we see that, and obviously we have the build instructions for the entire series, subject to who you get, which is probably a good way of saving a bit of printed material instead of basically printing everything specifically for each blind box, because then it just mitigates the concept of blind box. So before we get into Cliffjumper, we do have these extra set of open hands as well. So obviously a nice thing to have just in case you don't have to always use the closed hands, which if you want to use the weapon you would need to, otherwise you do have these. So that is very cool. So here we have Cliffjumper all assembled. So he is sporting his typical primary red deco with the lighter grey and the dark grey. Windows have been pretty much pre-painted there in that nice, very nice blue. Autobot insignia, and he does have some pre-paint there on his face for his blue eyes and the grey faceplate. Otherwise, yeah, there's a little bit of black here for where his wheels will be, and on the back he even has a bit of silver paint there just to give him a little bit more colour separation. And his weapon's just in that light grey, dark grey combo. So overall, visually, he does look very cool. Now, obviously I haven't planned this ahead very well. I do not have Bumblebee from Wave 1 near me, because that would have been a nice way to do a bit of comparison between the two. So maybe later down the track I'll start doing that, or maybe even do a dedicated video on that later on. Anyway, that is that. So I guess if we just want to have a very quick look at his weapon, so it is his bazooka. I don't know why he always gets the bazooka. It is his bazooka from that one particular episode from Generation 1 where he was basically trying to remove Megatron from power. So the good news is the handle will move up and down like so, which is cool, and the tripod base will also move up and down. Well, yeah, forward and back is probably better to say as well. So it's nice that there's some little bit of articulation there with those as well, and just pretty much slides into his closed hand like so. Now the bad news is, because of the length of the weapon, the top of the bazooka will pretty much sit right smack on his actual elbow. So basically, to pose it, you will just pretty much have to move the entire arm. Yeah, it's always an ongoing issue with all Cliffjumpers who come with the bazooka. Was it the Shining version that did the same thing? Yes, I've got the Shining version of Cliffjumper as well from Blockies. So yeah, I have to do a bit of a review at some point in time, well, comparison. Anyway, that is the bazooka that is included. It's very nice that he has that. Would it be nice if he had a smaller blaster? Probably. Okay, so Cliffjumper from the front. His left side, the rear, his right side, and then just a bit of a close-up as well. So overall, it is nice that he does have some of that color separation within the plastic already, without being too overly complex and detailed. Could he probably have some more color wraps? I'm sure he could, but for a basic straight out of the box, he is doing quite well. Now, here comes the fun part. Articulation of these model kits. Now, if I remember correctly, Wave 1 was, it wasn't terrible, but I did find the joints were unusually, what's a good way to explain it? It's kind of like rough and tough come to mind, but basically stiff. There we go. A lot of joints were quite stiff in Wave 1, so you did have to apply a decent amount of force to get things to move in their particular sockets. Now, the figure will be predominantly ball sockets. There will be a few pins here and there, but to be honest, they don't really do much after, you know, the construction side of things. Otherwise, there'll be your usual hinges as well. Anyway, starting with the head. So his head will do a full 360, which I will admit actually wasn't too bad. His arms will do a full 360 all the way around because they are supported here with that ball socket. So obviously they'll go up and down. The arm will also do a spin here just above the upper arm at the shoulder, which is nice. And then it will do that much of a elbow bend thanks to that hinge there. But it won't go back. It will pretty much reset back into position there, and then the hands will be able to do a full 360 there because obviously they can, they're just pins as well, so they can obviously come out and be switched out accordingly. So his arms definitely have a good amount of movement, and so far I'm actually pretty okay with the actual degrees and flexibility of some of the motions in those areas. As for his waist, he will have a full 360 here because I do believe there is an actual ball socket there. He will have that much of a up crunch. Let's just reset those arms. So he can crunch that much forward, and he'll be able to crunch that far back. So definitely not too bad. It's definitely more of a forward crunch. So yeah, it's not terrible. But yeah, it's enough to actually do a little bit more with posability and stuff with this actual particular figure. So that model kit. So that's always a nice thing. As for his legs, he will be able to do a full splits without any issues. It is a ball socket here, but because of the hip design and things like that, the legs will only go so far back, so far forward before it basically starts knocking into some of the front and rear skirting. There will be a swivel up here just underneath that hip joint, which is good, so similar to the arms, and the leg can go so far back and then reset pretty much thanks to this little hinge for the knee band. As for the feet, they will be able to do a full 360 here because it is a ball socket in there. So overall, he actually does have a decent amount of mobility and things like that where he needs it to be. So definitely give him some options as to, you know, not be forever stuck in a basic static pose. So that is pretty much the Yolopark Cliffjumper for Wave 2. Now, what are my thoughts on Cliffjumper? Visually, he's pretty much on point, straight out of the box. As I mentioned earlier, he could probably have some extra paint applications and some detailing, but that probably just comes down to do the individual. I'm sure I could do some panel lining if I really wanted to, and thankfully it doesn't have too many panel lines if I wanted to bring out some of that detailing. And then, you know, with some paint pens and things like that, if there's any missing paint apps, I could do that. And I think I said the same thing about Wave 1. So visually, he's very cool. I like the additions, obviously, the bazooka and the hand manipulators. Okay, granted, hand manipulators tend to be pretty stock standard. The weapon is a nice touch. The only thought I had about this one, as I said earlier, was it's just unfortunate because of the length of the weapon. You basically completely remove the elbow bend. So it does have a bit of a limit onto posing compared to what some of the other figures will probably have. Now, you could probably offset it by basically spinning the entire wrist around and then almost like a pseudo four-arm mounted bazooka a la Megatron. But that just seems really weird to the wrist. I mean, no human can even do that. Well, without pain anyway. So that's my thoughts on the bazookas. Nice to have, just unfortunate that it does impact some of the articulation. Articulation wise, I was actually pleasantly surprised from my loose recollections of Wave 1. Moving through the joints actually was not as stiff as I remembered it to be, which is always quite good. So you can definitely move everything around fairly fluidically, and yeah, that actually wasn't too much of a pain. The hinge joints obviously work out really nicely. The ball sockets, you know, they're not super stiff, but you don't expect them to suddenly have pieces, you know, unintentionally pop off during posing and things like that because they're not sturdy and strong. So that is good. Just trying to think, is there anything that wasn't a big fan of? Now, whilst I won't have the sound on for the time lapse, and at this point in the video there definitely wasn't, not the normal recorded sounds. A little bit of effort and strength will be needed to put some of the ball sockets on. The initial stiffness is probably there at the point of putting bits on. In fact, I mean, let's see if I can just do this. So that was a very loud snap to put that on. Now, I definitely wouldn't be doing that too many times over and over. It's still plastic, and, you know, doing that repeatedly could start having some structural compromise to the actual plastic. So just keep that in mind during the build. You do need a little bit of force, hopefully not too much. Don't be too alarmed at the actual sound of the snap/pop as joints go on. It is quite loud, it can be a little bit startling, but it seems to be consistent with the figure, and it does seem a bit consistent from what I remember from Wave 1. But overall, I quite like this little figure of Cliffjumper. As I mentioned, I've got Bumblebee from the Wave 1, I've got a Cliffjumper from Blocky's Shining, who is probably shorter, but I think has similar articulation, probably has some very similar issues in the sense of it was also equipped with the bazooka, and yeah, just something about posing and articulation just goes out the window. For this little type of model figure, and even though the build itself is not a true model kit, it still isn't too bad. I mean, it's more like a deconstructed action figure, really. You're just putting all the joints together. You don't actually put like proper things together, so the feet you don't put together, you don't snap the head together and stuff like that. So I guess if you're after a model kit, Yolopark might leave you feeling underwhelmed, unfulfilled, in the sense that it's not a true model kit. If you want model kit, I would dare say, especially Transformers model kits, go to Blockies. I've yet to be disappointed. Actually, I take that back. I haven't been completely disappointed. There have been some figures that could have been better and whatnot, but from an actual model kit perspective, I would definitely probably actively recommend a Blockies Transformers model kit than a Yolopark model kit. I think Yolopark is still trying to go for that final aesthetic, but basically compromise the actual model kit concept. But yeah, it's okay. I mean, you get a nice little 10cm action figure. That from a robot perspective is pretty true to form. Obviously it doesn't transform, which is probably, you know, part of the novelty as well, but and also that's the other thing. These things don't transform, so if you're expecting Transformers, once again, it doesn't transform. So there you go. Anyway, I think that's probably enough that I want to rant on about in terms of the review for Cliffjumper. Overall, he's a nice sturdy little 10cm figure. Looking forward to how the rest of Wave 2 go, and if things are going to be relatively consistent and things like that. And as I said, hopefully Wave 3 I will pick up sometime in the near future, because there's some interesting figures within that particular wave as well. And to be honest, they're not too bad. But yes, as I say, reset your expectations of the concept of model kit when it comes to Yolopark and these particular figures. But I think after that, you're pretty much okay. Thank you very much for watching this little trifecta unboxing, time-lapse and review video for AMK Wave 2 for Transformers from Yolopark. Feel free to leave a like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the content. All of this does help support the channel, and I do appreciate it. There's extra content on my Instagram as well as the YouTube community tab, typically work in progress stuff, but I might still have some quick shots of Cliffjumper to put up there as well. With that being said, stay safe and take care, and I'll catch you all in next week's video, which, as you can see, will be a few weeks worth of these mini series from Yolopark. Otherwise, there's plenty of other stuff on the channel as well. See ya.